On Android Studio, we have Android virtual device configuration where I can create and run Android virtual devices. So this, I have my, my Android Studio inside of here, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. And you can see here for this particular application, I actually am using a specific hardware device as the target for what I'm going to build. Okay. I'm going to show you, here I'm going to go into the SDK Manager first. So inside of my SDK Manager, these are the SDK levels that I have installed. Right? So these are the different platforms that I actually have installed on my particular instance. Additional tools that I could get. So I can have a couple of additional tools that I would add in. You know, if I need to basically, you know, have the correct USB driver, I could download it outside of this, or I could download it inside of this. If I'm dealing with GPU components, where I'm trying to address GPU components, I can download this as well. And then this is my specification on where I get this. And so here I have a couple of different repositories that are defined. Here, if I'm doing development for Google Glass, does anyone remember Google Glass? Yeah. So if I'm doing development for this, this is where I get that for that particular repository and so on. So this, it usually takes a while, so don't start it here. But if you don't already have Android Studio installed, I would suggest later tonight, install Android Studio and download one of these levels, you know, Android 9 or Android 10. It will take you 20 minutes to download it over the hotel Wi-Fi, so don't do it now. I'm going to cancel out of this. So this is the SDK Manager, which allows me to specify the code that I have available. Now I'm going to go into the AVD Manager. Now, here I actually have a couple of Android virtual devices already configured. This one, you see this icon here? This Android virtual device is actually Play Store enabled. So on the emulator version that I downloaded has the Google Play components included in it. So I can actually launch Google Play inside of this emulator and download apps from the Google Play Store and install it in this emulator, where you don't normally have that by default. So I can run this virtual device. So I'm going to go ahead and click play on this. There are a couple of different ways that you can launch this, but I'm going to run this. I could also change settings inside of this. I can also like revert to a plain snapshot type state, and I can change configuration on it here. So I'm going to go cancel that, go back to this. Now, where's my virtual device? There it is. Okay, so here I have my virtual device. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this just to show this to you. But my virtual device is actually an Android phone, right? I mean, it's emulated, but this is an Android phone that's there. I can open up the Play Store, right? So I'm going to cancel the updates. I can go and look at the apps which are available to me on this, right? So I can open up the files in the file system and see the content that's there. Okay. This is a virtual device. Now, one other thing that I want to show to you inside of here, and you'll get a chance to practice some of this stuff because this is what we're going to do. If I run ADB, I have this basically installed, and one of the things that I can do is list off the different devices that are actually present, right? So here with this, devices. So I'm going to change this orientation a little bit to make it easier, particularly for people in back to see. So here I'm going to do ADB devices, and it shows me that I have this emulator attached. Now, emulator 5554, this is the default port. If I launched another emulator, it would show up incrementally. I could actually have multiple different emulators running. Now I'm going to do this, ADB shell. Now, I'm actually on this virtual device as a shell, so I can do things like PM, this packages, and this shows me the packages that are installed on this emulated device. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do SU. Oh, interesting. No root on this. Let me go back over here, go to Tools, go to AVD Manager. I'm going to go to this other virtual device. I'm going to run this one. Okay. This will take a second to start. I'm going to go back to my thing here. I'm going to do ADB devices. Now I have this one, but I have a little bit of a problem. If I try to get a shell, it's going to say, what do you want? Right? So here I have a couple of different ways that I can do this. One is S for S serial number. And so here I'm going to specify this, and then I'm going to say shell, and I'm going to get a shell inside of this one. And now when I do SU, I get root. So this virtual device, the image of the operating system, provides root for me. So I'm going to say which SU. So it's system xbin SU. So I'm going to exit out of this, ADB-S, and I'm going to do emulator 5554, shell. So no love. So now this told me it was system xbin SU. So I'm going to ls on this file and see if it's there. Not there. So now I can do stuff like ls, because find isn't on here. And, oh, find is on there. That's nice. Usually it's not. All right. Find / name SU. I'm going to throw away these errors. 2 greater than dev null. So that 2 greater than dev null is just a command line switch to say, take all the error messages, stderr, which is file handle 2, and put them into dev null. So there's no SU that's present on this file system. Why? Because it's the Play Store image. Right, so they basically took that away from me. When I get the Play Store image, I get the benefit of Play Store, but then I lose the benefit of root. Okay, so I don't have to build a Play Store image. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create a new virtual device, and I have to select my hardware. So now, in my hardware, I can choose, do I want a Pixel 3a with Play Store, or do I want a Pixel 3 XL with no Play Store? Okay, so these are the images that I've downloaded. You can download additional images as well. Okay, so these are the different images that I actually have on mine. So I'm just going to say next. I'm going to pick the Pixel 3 XL, say next. Then I can pick which operating system version I want to install on it. So Q or Pi or whatever. I'm just going to put Pi on here just because. Say next on this. I have a couple of different options in terms of what I want to call it, and so on. Say finish. And now I've got this additional one, Pixel 3 XL API 28, and I can run this one as well. Okay? And in addition to this, I also can have hardware that I connect to over ADB. Okay, so now I've got my, my Nexus 6 connected over here. So I'm going to exit out of this. ADB devices. So now I have 3 emulators running and a hardware device connected. Okay, and so I can do ADB-S serial number this, shell, and now I'm inside of this phone. And again, SU, no love. Okay, it doesn't exist. I don't think find, oh, find is on there. Weird. Find / name SU 2 greater than dev null. So it's not going to find it. It's just not there. Okay, so this is kind of the setup of the start of how we're dealing with emulation and hardware. So if I do drs/s/b start.apk, Okay, so I have a whole bunch of APKs inside of here. Right? So I can actually take this and I can do ADB-S emulator 5554, and I'm going to install this APK. So now onto my emulator, I can actually install an APK from the file system of my host onto that emulator, and then it's now available to run on that. Okay? And I could also do this to my phone via ADB. The thing about the phone, in order to make this work, I need to have USB debugging enabled on the phone in order to be able to actually have that access through the USB.